Hey everyone, it's Coach Matt over here, Primal Athlete Training Center, www.primalatc.com. Well guys, we're coming to you today from a part of the gym which I don't think we've ever shot any videos at before. It's a part of the gym that you might not have seen before. This is actually our suspension training and body weight training part of the gym. This is where we have a few different pull-up bars, we have our TRX trainers, we have some gymnastics rings in here as well. And this is the part of the gym, one of the only parts of the gym, where we actually have a blank, flat wall. All the equipment is on the sides of the gym. We have our tires and our sandbags and our kegs and everything else up against the walls. This is really one of the only open, flat walls in the entire gym. And we're going to get into that a little bit more tomorrow and show you how we can actually use that to improve lower back health and to get ourselves more flexible just by using a blank, flat wall. But today what I want to talk to you about is sort of the general aspects and my general findings with regards to lower back pain and lower back health for throwers. Now this is something where if I think back to my college career, even to my high school career, and if I look back at my teammates and if I look back at friends, lower back pain and lower back health is probably the biggest concern, the biggest injury that you're going to find with throwers that happens the most often with throwers. And there are some reasons for that, and we're going to go over those reasons here in just a little bit. But basically, when we're talking about lower back health and when we're talking about lower back pain, it really has to do with one thing, which is flexibility. Now, if you traditionally look at a thrower, throwers are normally big guys, and throwers are normally really strong. They like to lift a lot of heavy weight in the weight room. They throw heavy things outside, especially if you throw the 25-pound weight or the 35-pound weight. You're dealing with throwing a lot of weight, so you want to be in the weight room lifting a lot of heavy weight and getting stronger. But this is where we start to see a lot of lower back injuries start to happen, and a lot of lower back pain start to actually occur with throwers. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the reasons why that lower back pain starts to happen with throwers, especially right around the 20-year range, 20, 22 years old. You start to see a lot of lower back pain. We're going to tell you why. Now, when you talk to a doctor, when you talk to a chiropractor about lower back health and lower back pain when dealing with an athlete, they're going to reference a few different sports. The number one sport that they reference, that they see the most of this in, is golf. You also see it a lot in baseball and softball, but you especially see it, doesn't get as much, I guess as much press, if you want to say that, because it's not that widely known of a sport. But where I see it the most is throwing. About 75% of the athletes that I work with here are throwers. The other 25%, we do have baseball and football, we have golf, and especially wrestling. Those are the biggest sports that I train. And I start to see a lot of this lower back pain happening in even younger and younger athletes. Now the reason for the lower back pain, as I said, is a lack of flexibility. Basically, the athletes are not flexible enough to get their bodies in the right positions. So when they start using heavier weight and start getting stronger, if their bodies aren't getting in the right positions, well, then they're not going to be, they're going to end up getting hurt, and they're going to end up getting hurt a lot faster. So, when we talk about flexibility, we have to look at what chiropractors and doctors call the lower cross. And the lower cross actually looks like a greater than and less than symbol. If you can imagine the two symbols on your desktop, or the two symbols when you're in class, the greater than symbol and the less than symbol. Well, the greater than symbol is made up of your hamstrings, your hips, and your lower back. Makes sort of one of those symbols. The quads, the butt, and the stomach make up the other symbol. So you see we have a greater than symbol and a less than symbol. Now, the way this works is that the three parts of each one of those symbols will work together as a unit. So for example, your hamstrings, your hips, and your lower back work together as one unit. Your stomach, your butt, and your quads are going to work together as one unit. Now, just like in anything, when you have three parts that are working together, if one part does not work correctly, then the other parts will try to take over. And when the other parts try to take over, they will wear out quicker and they will get hurt. You will get hurt that way. So, the number one thing that we need to improve as throwers is the flexibility of our hamstrings, our hips, and our lower back. Okay, those three items, hamstrings, hips, and lower back, work together as one unit. If your hamstrings are weak, or if your hamstrings are not mobile or flexible enough, then your hips and your lower back will take over. If your hips are not mobile or flexible, if your hips are not strong enough, then your hamstrings and your lower back will take over. And quite frankly, if your lower back is not strong enough, if your lower back is not flexible enough, then your lower back will get hurt. Your lower back will give out before the other two. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today, and that we're going to cover over the next few days, is how to get your hamstrings more flexible, how to get your back more flexible, and how to get your hips more flexible. But today I want to show you the position, the most important position that you need to get into. And then tomorrow we'll talk about flexibility and getting more mobile. And the day after that, we're going to be talking about getting not only more mobile and flexible, but stronger to help yourself so that you're not getting hurt as often. And the most important position that we need to teach today is how to hinge, H-I-N-G-E, how to hinge your hips and stick your butt out. Now this is pretty basic. I have a 17-month-old son at home who is the perfect squatter. Young babies and young kids, because they're super flexible, they can squat perfectly, they can bend over perfectly, and they can hinge their hips perfectly. And that's what we want to talk about today, is hinging your hips. So when we talk about hinging the hips, we're going to show you from the front and the side. We want to get, and this is where the blank wall comes into place, we want to get about 1.5 feet away from that wall. And what you want to do is, keeping the shoulders back and keeping a nice natural arch in your back, you want to take your fingers and put your fingers right on your hips. And now you want to push your hips back and keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing until your butt touches the wall. So you're going to have just a really slight bend in your knee, and you're going to push your hips back until your butt touches the wall. Now what you're going to find is, as you do this, you are going to feel, if you're not flexible or not flexible enough, a really deep stretch in the hamstrings in the back of your leg. And what's that telling you? You're keeping your back arched, so your back is flexed. Your hips are pushing back, so your hips are totally out of the picture. And what's going to take over is your hamstrings. So you're going to feel a deep stretch where you're the least flexible, which is your hamstrings. Okay? Let me show you from the side. So from the side, again, we're about 1.5 feet away from this post behind me. So what you want to do is, nice slight bend. You're going to start to push the hips back, push back, push back, push back, push back, until your butt touches the wall or touches the post behind you. And again, you're going to feel a really deep, really intense stretch in the hamstrings and stand up. Now this is one of the most important movements, because this is the beginning of the squat, this is the beginning of the deadlift, and this transfers over into proper form and technique for the shot, discus, javelin, and hammer. So the ability to hinge your hips back, the ability to sit back while keeping the shoulders back and your head up is very important. Many of you, when you try this, you're going to try to stick your butt back and your back is going to round. And that's because you are not flexible enough. And you can see, if you were to try to squat or try to deadlift that way, you would hurt your lower back, which is what this video is all about. Now, like I said, tomorrow we're going to get into flexibility. We're going to get into getting those areas more flexible and more mobile, and some exercises to help you do that. The day after that, we're going to be going, again, sticking with getting them more flexible and more mobile, but strengthening those areas as well to help further prevent any additional injuries that might happen in your throwing career. Guys, it's Coach Matt, Primal Athlete Training Center. Make sure you check out Primal ATC and leave your questions right on the website. And make sure you let your friends, your teammates, and your coaches know, that Primal ATC is the place to come for throwers and for coaches when they need answers quickly. I get them answered right on the blog every single day. Hope to see you guys and hear from you guys soon.